to this as well now. The trial within a trial in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case turns to how the accused pointed out the crime scene. Police officer Nkosinathi Hadebe is expected to continue his testimony. Now, he's the policeman that accompanied Muzisbia as he pointed out to the scene. And the defense argues that the two of the accused were assaulted and further forced to point out the location. But the state presented pics of them at the time with no visible injuries. So let's get the very latest now from our reporter, ENC's Manqoba Mchunu, joins me right now to give me this update. Manqoba, very warm good morning to you. And I suppose in this trial within a trial, I mean, once again, we get to hear, you know, the state's point and their arguments versus what the accused say actually happened. In one end, we hear that, you know, the accused are saying that they were almost coerced or assaulted to point out to the scene, but of course the state arguing otherwise.
Indeed, Dumela, and this is very crucial because this is what this trial within a trial is all about, whether or not those statements or confessions were made voluntarily and freely by those accused, or whether there was any coercion or there was any force that was applied to these accused to then make these particular confessions. This is what the court will have to weigh at the end of this trial within a trial, whether or not those statements were made under duress, and if so, the court will then might have to then consider not using these particular statements as part of the evidence in court. So this is what this trial within a trial is all about, Dumela. But of course, yesterday we also heard during the cross-examination of Magistrate Vivian Cornier, she made some crucial concessions about, you know, the manner in which accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, had been brought to her on the 30th of, or rather on the 20th or 24th of June, if I stand corrected, of 2020. This is the day that he had come to make that particular confession. She said it was quite unusual, the fact that when he had arrived at the court, he had been in the company of Metro Police officers. She says usually it's the members of the South African Police Services that will accompany a suspect to come and make a confession, but also crucially that these Metro Police were heavily armed at that particular moment. She also says that, you know, as far as the rights of accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, are concerned, she conceded to the fact that his right to appear in court within 48 hours, which is a right that is enshrined in the constitution of this country, may have been violated in the sense that he was arrested on the 16th of June and only made that particular statement on the 24th of June, 8 days after he was arrested. She also says that the fact that there were no visible assault markings on him, you know, does not mean necessarily that he may not have been assaulted or tortured into making that particular confession. But let's take a listen to her evidence in court.
Do you agree with me that a person, if he has been assaulted, there may be visible injuries and there may also not be visible injuries?
Is correct.
You are correct. Uqiniseke ukuthi uma umuntu ke eshayiwe ke ngakhona ke ukulimala okubonakalayo nokungabonakali futhi.
And the mere absence of physical injuries does not suggest that he was not assaulted.
That's correct.
That is correct.
And I suppose that's what Advocate Mshololo was trying to identify there, Manqoba, right, by cross-examining Vivian Cornier, the magistrates, regarding the visibility or non-visibility of injuries. This, of course, going into the arguments that perhaps, you know, whether or not there were injuries visible, it doesn't negate the fact that the suspects may have been assaulted.
Well, certainly, Dumelo, and we also got to hear from an interpreter that was there when Bongani Ntanzi made that particular confession, and this interpreter had confirmed two things. Firstly, that Bongani Ntanzi's lawyer had been present when he was making that particular confession. This is crucial because we heard last week the defense disputing that Bongani Ntanzi had in fact been represented by a lawyer. He seems to say that he does not know the gentleman that was there during that confession, Mr. Dominic Mjiako, who we understand was his legal representative. But we also got a corroboration as far as the evidence of Magistrate Vivian Cronje is concerned, as far as the fact that when Bongani Ntanzi made that particular confession, he had appeared calm, he had wanted to do so, he was more than willing to make that confession. She was asked the question, what did she observe as far as his demeanor was concerned? And take a listen to what she had to say to me.
What was your overall impression about the suspect? It has been put to Ms. Cronje that the suspect was coerced, assaulted. What was your overall impression?
My Lord, my overall impression was that, of course, looking at the demeanor of the suspect at the time, he appeared to me like somebody who really wanted to speak whatever it was that he wanted to say.
And are you able to perhaps say why you were of that view?
Well, because if I may just fast forward a bit, when the rights were explained to him, and the fact that he was not compelled in any way to make a statement, his specific words were, I really want to speak. I just want to say this. If I can say it in Zulu, my Lord, he said, "Thasisi, ngifuna ukuqhubeka ngikhulume."
Washo lamagama ke usisaqedwe washo manje esho ngesizulu. No lady, I really want to speak.
And what else, Manqoba, came out just in terms of the defense arguments?
Well, Dumelo, the third witness taking the stand yesterday, and that is a police officer who conducted the pointings out of the crime scene with accused number 1, Muzikaukulelwa Sibiya. And this is also crucial because this is another issue that is in dispute at this trial within a trial. The pointings out that have been carried out by the accused. So what these mean simply is that the accused is taken to the crime scene where he will then make, a statement and point exactly what had transpired in that particular crime scene. And in this instance, we understand that Muzikaukulelwa Sibiya was actually taken to the Khumalo house as well as a hostel in Vosloorus to point out exactly what had happened on the 26th of October in 2014. And she says, this is the colonel that took down these pointings out statement, that at the time Sibiya had been read his rights. There was a pro forma document that had to be completed. And this is the form or document that lists the rights of the accused before, commencing with that particular procedure that had to be followed. So his rights were read to him, and he had then admitted and indicated that he wanted to continue with the pointing out. He also says that he was made aware of the fact that this could be used against him in court as evidence, and he also had indicated that he wants to continue and he was willing to point out the crime scene. But also very crucial to this particular issue is that he was asked whether he had been assaulted or tortured into pointing out the crime scene, and his answer was that he had not been assaulted. In fact, we saw photos of accused number 1 being beamed in court. These were taken just prior to that pointings out, which seems to suggest that there were no visible injuries or marks that he had had just prior to that pointings out being taken. But of course, the defense is insisting that Muzikaukulelwa Sibiya was assaulted, he was tortured, and even suffocated into making that particular confession, or rather the pointing out of the crime scene. Take a listen to the evidence that came out in court.
My Lord, the grounds for the objection or for the challenging of the admissibility thereof is that on the 5th of June 2020, the accused was transported from Villeria.
Was transported?
From Villeria Police Station.
Villeria
Police Station.
Yeah.
To Vosloorus.
Right.
And he was subjected to torture and assault by the TRT police.
Yeah.
Who then took him to Albertine. After that, he was, according to his instruction, he was instructed to point out the place where the incident took place. After that,
Right.
he was transported from Albertine
Yeah, to point out
to
a certain place.
To a certain place, my lord.
Yeah.
It is his instruction further, my lord, that he was never explained of his constitutional rights. And it's my further instructions that he signed the pro forma, and he was forced to do so,
Forced to sign it.
forced to sign the document.
Well, thanks so much. ENC reporter Manqoba Mchunu will be